this is Sarah with Sarah Beth Stickers. I'm so glad that you've joined me again for one of my weekly check-ins. This is for the week number 2 of January 2002. I have been keeping track of all of our family's purchases, and I've marked them here in the monthly layout in my planner. I use the Erin Condren 7x9 academic planner for my weekly planning, and if you'd like to see any of those weekly plan with me's, check out the other videos listed on my channel. However, today we're going to be taking a look at our financial tracking, which I do in the monthly layout in my planner. Now, the reason I chose the academic planner was because it fits not only my weekly planning needs, but it also accommodates my financial planning. And I'm just someone who, I have 3 kids, I have a bunch of ministries I'm part of, and I work from home, and I just have a lot of places and things that I do throughout the week, and I just did not want to keep track of a bunch of different planners. So this worked for me to have everything in one place. And what I do, and I mentioned this in our week 1 check-in, but if you're new here, I'll just briefly go over what we do. I've been keeping track of every purchase that we make, and it is color-coded. Because this is the first financial tracking for the year for the month of January, I am using color-coded purchase trackers that match the monthly layout. However, going forward, I will be having multiple colors available because I know that, like many of you, I have more than 4 categories that I like to track. And so for this particular month, I have been using the color coordinated ones. However, going forward, I will have multiple colors available on my shop at Etsy under Sarah Beth Stickers, but I will also show you those once those have come available, what colors you can choose from. So what we did for the week number 2 is I am not going Sunday to Saturday. I'm actually going from Monday to Sunday because of my filming schedule and when I'm able to upload videos. So our week is actually technically starting on Monday with our purchases. So this is the monthly layout. And then I also utilize the notebook pages in the back section after the weekly layouts in my planner as well. And so last week, I went over this with you guys in detail about how much we were allotting for the different categories that we're tracking. My family, we have done Dave Ramsey in the past, and we have paid cash for everything. However, we now live in a very small town. Our bank is not local to us. And so being able to exchange bills and fill envelopes is just not feasible for us. So what we have been doing, though, is basically using the same principles, but keeping track of our receipts. So each week I allot so much money based on our monthly total that we have given ourselves to spend. We break that out by week so that each week we have money to spend from that particular category. And instead of keeping the money in an envelope, we just keep track of our receipts as we spend. So for example, for the month, we have allotted $750 for the whole month. However, for each week, we break it out by like $150 per week to spend specifically for groceries. Same thing for gas, $300 for the month. However, each week it's however many dollars it breaks out to, if that makes sense. Now, there are 5 categories that we typically are overspending on or that are very variable for our family. For the bulk of our budget, most of our expenses are fixed expenses, meaning they are the same amount from month to month. They do not change. The only thing that might change as far as our fixed expenses go is our electric. I know typically we are on comfort level billing, which means that they take an average over the year and then we pay a monthly amount that's spread over the year. However, we did just have a rate increase, and obviously we're in the middle of winter, so that amount might change, but everything else is pretty much to the penny. Our variable expenses, however, are the ones that we're tracking on the weekly check-in. So that would be groceries, gas. We have 3 drivers in my family, my husband, myself, and my 16-year-old daughter. Also our eating out money, which we are tracking separately from groceries. However, if one or other of these is getting low and I know I need something for the other, I am counting those, even though they're 2 different categories, I'm counting those as both for food. Household would include anything for the actual house, such as like paper towels, toilet paper, shampoo, that kind of thing. And for this month, we're also tracking things such as prescriptions and I'm trying to think off the top of my head what else fell into that category. Vitamins. Oh, we have a pellet stove in one of the levels of our house, so that also came out of household. So that's what that category is for. Unbudgeted is for anything that we forgot to or didn't assign money to. I am not putting anything into our budget for that. However, I am keeping track of if there's any purchases that do fall under that category. And I covered this expense on week 1. But so for week 2, we're going to go ahead and take a peek at our purchases and see how well we did. So for groceries, ending at the end of week 1, we had $484.23 left for the month. However, we only had $121.05 left to spend for this week. And I already know I went over, and I'm going to show you how we're going to keep track of that. Okay. So we're going to come back here to our monthly view. And for my purposes, for our monthly view, I use the blue trackers to track our grocery budget. So we had an expense on a Monday for $43.75. That was the bulk of items that I needed to do my meal planning. I try to use items that I already have in my pantry and in my freezer, and then I supplement with things that are on sale or things that I know I don't have. And that's one way that you can keep your grocery budget down, is by using what you already have instead of going out and buying everything all at once. Try to use what you've already got on stock. So $43.75, plus we also had a purchase of $29.13 on Tuesday. And we had a purchase of $22.63. I believe that was for protein shakes and bottled water. We don't buy everything at Costco, but those 2 things in particular are much more affordable for us. So when my husband, he happened to be out of town near a Costco on that day, he went ahead and got that, as well as we always get gas, which we'll cover here in just a minute. So already we're up to $51.76. And then we had one more purchase of $32.30. So that gives us a total of $84.06 that we spent for groceries. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get back to our page here. So we spent $84.06, and we had, actually, I'm going to subtract it from here. So 484. So I'm going to put, let's see, this is a really old calculator, so I'm going to clear it out. So 484.23 minus 84.06. That leaves us $400.17. And I'm going to take that amount and I'm going to divide it by how many weeks we still have left. Okay. So we actually have 3 weeks left. So divided by 3 weeks, that gives me $133.39 left for week 3 and forward. Now, obviously this number went up because I didn't spend all of my amount that I had allotted for groceries, and that's good. My goal is to not spend what I've allotted, and anything left over, I'm going to put into our savings. So my goal is to actually stay under for that. Okay, so that was our groceries. Now let's go back, and I'm actually going to check these off because we've accounted for them. Now we're going to check out gas. I like I said, work from home. I have a little boy that I watch in my home. And so I don't really typically drive hardly anywhere. My daughter has her own car. She covers her own gas. Sometimes we help supplement her a little bit. She is in a lot of activities. Plus she works in a different town than where we live. So she's actually in her car quite a bit. But my husband, because we spent gas quite a bit in week 1, we only had to fill up for $16.17. So we spent $16.17 and we have $166.63 left for the month minus $16.17. That means we have $150.46 left for the month divided by 3. That means we have $50.15 left for the week, for week 3. Now, we all have vans. We always joke about it. We're a family of van owners. And it usually, to fill up one van, is at least $50, possibly $60. But that usually will last us quite a while. So that's enough for one of us to completely fill up our gas tank. However, most of us are already having at least a half a tank still left from the previous week. So that's actually not too bad. However, if we do plan a trip out of town, like I said, we live kind of outside of a larger city, so there is a little bit of driving involved, so that could make that number really go crazy. But I'm hoping we have allotted $300 for gas for the month. And so far we're only about halfway down, so that's really good. Our next category that we're tracking is eating out. And so we only had one instance of that here. However, we also had some extra things that we ended up covering. My older 2 children and myself went to go see the new Spider-Man movie in our local theater, and that included snacks and the tickets. Typically, I would include the snacks as part of our eating out, but I'm actually going to count that as an entertainment. So technically the only eating out that we had was one McDonald's purchase, and that was for $19.87. That was for us after the movie was over. I was really surprised. I didn't realize that it was 2.5 hours long. And so by the time we got out of the movie, we even went to the early movie. We were starving. So our little town doesn't have that many choices, and we eat at McDonald's quite a bit, as we talked about in a previous video. So we're hoping to get that down. So $19.87, and we had $95.24 left for the month, and we had allotted $150 for eating out. So $95.24 minus $19.87, that gives us $75.37 left for the month divided by 3. That gives us $25.12 left for week 3. This could go up depending on if we don't have any purchases this upcoming week. Let's take a peek here. There weren't any things unbudgeted. All of these, the rest of these purchases actually are coming out of either household or our sinking funds, which I briefly spoke about what sinking funds were in my first video. But we'll just go ahead and take a peek here. So unbudgeted, I didn't have anything, so I'm just going to leave that blank. But household, we did have some spending. So we had to buy pellets for our stove, which I said, because of the cold snap and with all of the snow that we had, we did supplement our heat with some pellets. So I did buy those. The rest of these things all come out of our sinking funds, and I don't have those here. I don't have those tracked on this particular page. However, I do have them tracked under a transaction log. So I've been writing down what the extra purchase was, what category it came from. And then the last page in my notebook area are all of our sinking funds. Okay, so these are some of the categories that I have. Sorry, this is getting out of the shot here. So we have gifts, vacation, clothing for each of us. I actually separated us out with our own line because depending on growth spurts, we all have different times that we need clothing. We do have an entertainment sinking fund. Awana, that is, again, since we are part of an Awana club, we do have membership dues that are due every year. They're not very much, but I do want to have that on there so that I don't get taken by surprise. Medical, I am hoping to beef this one up. This helps us cover any co-pays. I do have prescriptions that I take monthly that we do have to cover, so there is money in there for that. Beauty, I don't typically put a ton of money in this. I'm not someone who is into all the makeup and things like that, but I did mention in a previous video, I do have very sensitive skin, and a lot of the products that I have to use do tend to cost a little bit more for us, and so I do need to have a line item for that. Car maintenance would be oil changes. Obviously, if anything goes wrong, we're not due to get an oil change on either of our vehicles for the next couple of months, but I do want to go ahead and add in some money for that. We have home maintenance. Right now, we have been able to fix pretty much any of the repairs ourselves. However, we do have an issue with our garage door. My husband has already purchased the part and is hoping to be able to do that himself. However, the part was very expensive, and so we are going to be adding money in there to offset the cost for that. And then for Christmas, we know that happens every year. You could also include birthdays, things like that. I lumped those all together with gifts because I know that those are going to come throughout the year. Christmas, however, we do tend to spend a little bit more, and I wanted to get a head start. So what I did is I took an amount that I thought would cover all of the people that I usually purchase things for, and I divided it by 12, and I came up with a figure of about $85 a month would by December or November, I would have enough in my sinking fund to cover all of the things that I wanted to purchase for Christmas, including Christmas cards. We always send out a photo Christmas card for our family, so that's included in that as well. But these right now are the sinking funds that we are putting money into each month, and so beginning in February, we will add more into it. The reason I did these in pencil is because at the end of the month, when we do our last weekly check-in, if there's any extra money that I've been able to save from some of my weekly spending, I'm going to be putting those into some of these categories. So this is just my initial amount that I want to put into those funds. However, if I do get extra money, that's what I plan to do there. So all that to say, the reason that I said that is that we are going to be taking a peek at some of these expenses. So obviously a prescription would come out of medical. Okay. So I would take it from, how much do we have in there? We have $50 in there. I would take 50 and take the $266 out of that. And that's how much money we would have left in the medical account. Advent candles. This is actually going to be under gifts. So we had allotted $50 for gifts, and I would take the $43.36 out of that, and the remainder would be what we have in there. I'm not going to actually subtract those yet because here is where I'm going to do it at the end of the month. However, I am keeping track of them here. So at the end of the month, we will go through our sinking funds, and I will tally those up and make sure that those match up with what we have for the sinking funds. And then lastly, let's see, what else did we purchase? So we got this one. And then Redbox was an additional expense. This was our entertainment as well as the theater. Because I didn't take our little guy with us to see Spider-Man, he got to rent a movie with Dad and have a little guy night at home. And so that's what that expense is for. So again, those would come out of our sinking funds, not out of my weekly budget. So let me go back here again and go to household. So we had what was left here. Now, because of our overspending at the beginning of the month, I did reset it to be $200 for household. However, I'm really trying to keep this as close as I can to this amount for the rest of the month. So we had an expense, the pellets, $27.92. And I'm going to subtract that from my $50. I'm not going to subtract it from the $200 because I'm really trying not to go any more over this amount because we hadn't set aside enough money for that. So $50 minus 27, $50 minus 27.92 means there's $22.08 left. Now, obviously, if I were to divide that by 3, that'd give us like $7. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have $7.36. Now, I know that that is not a lot of money. However, I don't anticipate us needing to purchase anything else for household this month. We are totally stocked up on, toiletries and paper products and all of that stuff. We did make a big purchase of those things earlier in the month. And so I really don't foresee us needing to do that, which is another reason why I'm really kind of leaving this loose. I did assign $200 for that category, but I really am hoping we're not going to need it because I don't want to make this number really any higher than that. I really am hoping I'm not going to go over 300 for household, but again, some months you spend a lot on those things. Obviously, we're home a lot more because it's the winter and we're not getting out as much, so some of those things get used up pretty quickly. But for right now, this is the weekend. I'm going to leave these unchecked for now because I know where they go off of our sinking funds. But the next weekly check-in will start on the 10th and go through the 16th. And so I'm already seeing that the weekends are kind of tricky for us because if we tend to be out of town, we typically will spend more money. And also I noticed that we had quite a bit on toward the end of the week where we had extra expenses that we were trying to take care of there. But going forward, these are my new totals that I have to work with for week 3. Now, $133 for groceries, I think is totally doable. Again, I have 3 children. It's my husband and myself. And then I also feed my dad. My mom passed away last January and my dad lives close by. So he always comes and has meals with us. And so he is included in this amount that I've allotted for groceries. So that's why it's typically a little bit more. But $150 a week is my goal. If I can cut that with either coupons or buying things on sale, using what I have, then that's the way to go to save on your groceries, as well as making a menu plan, planning ahead. Obviously, you don't have to make a meal every single day, but having something where you can pull out really quickly, or even making freezer meals that are ready and available for you, that's going to save you from hitting that drive-through and spending your money in an area that you're not going to see come back to you. So anyway, that's the end of week 2. I hope that you'll join me again for week 3. Like I said, our goal is to underspend in all of these areas so that by the end of the month, we're able to add to our amount in our savings and our sinking funds. Our next biggest debt, or really our only debt, is our mortgage. We do have quite a high payment that we're trying to attack that. And so being on a 1-income family, 1.5, I guess, with my home childcare, it really is kind of tight. So, but it's doable. It's doable. That's not an excuse. So anyway, I'm so glad that you joined me today. Please check out my shop if you like any of the stickers that you see here. Those are available in my Etsy store under Sarah Beth Stickers. You can also find me on Instagram under Sarah Beth Stickers as well. I try to post there regularly, whether it's upcoming products or new layouts or videos. You can see me there. But leave a like, and I hope you can subscribe. It definitely helps me out and lets me know what kind of content you guys are interested in. And I hope that you have a wonderful beginning to your week 3 in January, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.